It's so cliche. I just love roses. I just don't get tired of them. I just love the double delights, so two different color patterns within the same rose that have been like manipulated somehow. I generally don't do just a flower by itself. It needs to have something else so it creates some kind of movement, otherwise it's a bit too structured. I use a lot of pastels, but I really like being able to use like a really dark contrast with it. So black backgrounds, black outlines, just dark, deeper colors towards the center of the flower so that that always holds up, and it just looks really good. I pretty much do it a little different every time, just kind of approach it the way I see it. I don't start with outlines, I finish with outlines, so I'll block in all of my tones, whatever I feel necessary at first, until I feel like I don't need my stencil anymore. And I just start layering and filling in until I see a mostly complete product, and then I come in with the liners at the end to sharpen all of the details, make sure all the edges are crisp and clear. I actually started in the Bronx in New York. I stopped in a tattoo shop in the Bronx where I would always get like piercings and tattoos with a fake ID and all that good stuff. And I had my art portfolio with me, and the owner of the shop took a look and just offered me an apprenticeship, so I started there. And actually not until I was in Pennsylvania, then I found just like a space where I could grow, and I started just trying different things, and I've always drawn in realistic style, so I figured I should give it a shot with tattooing. I mean, initially I started with flowers because I felt like it was a good lesson plan to do color portraits. If I started with flowers, they're more forgiving. So if you do a color realistic flower and it's not 100% perfect, really only you know that because you're the one looking at the reference. So there's just a bit more margin for error, and then I just really enjoyed doing it and people really enjoyed getting them, so I just continued. Like flowers, I think I can always make them work, like certain ones, like let's say dahlias or chrysanthemums that have like a lot of petals. They're just more time consuming, more tedious, but I still find them really fun and capable of doing them. I think it's more the color that brings me difficulty, so any kind of like yellow flowers, like a yellow rose or a sunflower, you know, stuff like that. The palette seems to be more difficult to me than the actual species of flower. Right now, to be honest with you, I'm a bit like weary of using certain machines. I feel like I've tried a lot of different machines and none of them really speak to me that well. My first rotary machine was a Bishop, and that was the best machine I ever had. Right now it's pretty old. The motor is worn. It's kind of just like lived its best life. And now I just kind of try whatever machines I can, but I don't have a favorite, to be honest. In my experience, they last pretty good if you do it right. It's kind of hard to say, and it won't be easy to say like for sure until I've been tattooing 20 years or something like that, because even my realistic flowers that are 4 or 5 years old, I had just started then, so I didn't fully understand how much contrast I needed to put in something for it to hold or anything like that. But I have like basically gone in and touched up old ones, like old Floral that I did in my first or second year, and they still held up great. They just required more saturation, more contrast, some things that I didn't have a grasp on at the beginning. For me, it's the sharpness of the detail. It really stands out the most because I know that that's what's going to hold or not hold over time. So just the definition of the petals, making sure that you can see each one pretty well without actually having a different color or black outline around each one, like finding the definition by the shape and shadow of each piece. I guess my favorite part is the end result. Like getting to that finish line and seeing something really pretty that wasn't there before. I mean, knowing that it's gonna take a long time and that the size needs, certain flowers need to be a certain size for them to look the way they look in a photograph. A lot of the times people want something, really teeny tiny, and it's just not gonna stay. So I always pretty much just recommend like either we do a bigger or we don't do it. We generally ask for photos of the client's part of the body that they want the tattoo, one for shape, and then also so we can see what type of skin they have. So if there's any kind of sun damage, if there's scarring, or if they're tan or not tan, and then that way I can kind of choose my reference and my approach based on what I'm about to work with. Sometimes it's not doable for what they want, and like a lighter palette, like some of my pastel roses are, pretty much only gonna work on like very fair skin. So we just need to adjust the palette or adjust the reference to accommodate for whatever type of skin I'm working with. Being patient is always the most challenging, I think, in tattooing at all. If I do geometric, if I do black work, if I do any other kind of style, it's always just trying to find a way to be patient and take your time with the tattoo so that it's perfect. Even when you're 6 hours in and exhausted and malnourished and dehydrated and tired, you just have to get there. Have to remember that this person is getting a tattoo for life and you can't slack off. So being patient, being aware, and all of that is pretty challenging.